Today, we're diving into one of the most fundamental forces in our lives, motivation. I mean, it's the engine that drives us, right? It gets us out of bed, makes us chase our dreams, and helps us become who we really want to be. But what happens when that engine just stalls?
Look, let's be real. We have all been there. You set that New Year's resolution, you start a new project with this huge burst of energy, and then a few weeks later, that fire just kind of fizzles out. So why? Why is it so incredibly hard to see our goals through to the end? That's the big question we're going to tackle today.
So, to figure out how to stay motivated, we first need to pop the hood and really understand what this engine is actually made of. So, let's get back to basics. At its core, motivation is just that internal feeling that pushes us toward a goal. It's the why behind the what we do. But as you're about to see, that why can come from some very, very different places. Essentially, motivation boils down to two main flavors. Are you learning guitar just because you absolutely love the sound and the process of playing? Well, that's intrinsic motivation. Or are you hoping to win a talent show or maybe impress someone? That's extrinsic. One is all about the passion inside you. The other is all about those rewards on the outside. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Sometimes you know exactly why you're doing something. That's your conscious motivation talking. But a lot of the time, the real reasons are buried deep, sometimes even hidden from ourselves. These unconscious drivers can be so powerful, shaping our choices without us even having a clue.
Okay, so that's the theory, but how do we actually put it into practice? Let's get into the good stuff. 4 simple psychological tricks you can start using today to fuel your own ambition.
So check these out. They all work by kind of reframing how we think about our goals. First, instead of a performance goal like lose 10 pounds, try a learning goal like understand nutrition better. Second, connect your goals to something you really value, like social connection. Third, frame it as a positive challenge. And finally, and this one is huge, create some accountability. Tell somebody, make a social contract, and makes the goal feel real. This really drives home the power of that third trick, framing. Just look at the difference here. The threat? It feels scary, right? It's almost paralyzing. But the challenge? That feels hopeful, empowering. It's the exact same goal, but just changing the words completely changes your mindset and probably your chances of actually succeeding. Now, psychologists have been obsessed with motivation for a very long time, which means there's a really rich history of ideas out there. Let's take a super quick tour of the theories that got us to where we are today. You've got theories about fairness, about our needs for achievement and power, and about the sheer force of just setting a clear goal. The field is massive. Don't worry, there's not going to be a test. But it's important to see that we're standing on the shoulders of decades of research here. So, with all that history behind us, what's new? Well, very recently, a whole new framework popped up that looks at our motives through a completely different and actually much, much older lens: evolution. In a brand new study, researchers propose that our modern motivations are actually rooted in ancient survival instincts. They went digging for the fundamental drives that have guided humans for millennia, and they came up with a list of 15 core motives. And here it is. This is the list they came up with. It is absolutely fascinating. These motives are grouped into 5 key areas. Everything from basic physical needs like hunger and fear, all the way to complex social drivers like our need for status and justice. This new map suggests that pretty much everything we do can be traced back to one of these 15 fundamental drives. The trick is to figure out which of these is driving you.
But the study didn't stop there. It also found something really profound about how these core motives shift as we go through life. You see, what drives you as a teenager is not the same thing that's going to drive you as a senior citizen.
Yeah, the research found a really clear shift across our lifespan. Younger people, they tend to be driven more by status and play, which, if you think about it from an evolutionary point of view, makes total sense for finding a mate and learning new skills. But older folks, their focus tends to shift towards seeking comfort and managing fear, prioritizing safety and well-being. Knowing this can help you understand not just yourself, but everybody around you a whole lot better. So that leaves us with one big question for you. Now that you've got this new map of human motivation, a fresh set of psychological tricks, and an idea of how your own drives might be shifting, what's the next great goal you're going to set for yourself? Which core motive are you going to tap into to make it happen?